Being a teenager is awkward because you're in this state where you're not a kid and you're not an adult, and your parents don't know if you still want them to hold your hand or if you want them to just let go of you like an adult. The blurred lines of child and adult, I think they're really hard for people to understand, and that's why teenagers are so complex.
After my parents' divorce, I started getting really weird, I guess. But I think it started coming in when I was in 8th grade, and at that point I was really angsty and existentialist, having these crises.
I would just stay in my room all the time. I would not come out except for food.
I noticed that she was withdrawing herself from our group of friends. She didn't like to go out as much.
Inside, I didn't think anyone would want to talk to me. I felt like I was the worst thing on the planet.
All these thoughts are just running through your head all the time, and nobody can really be inside your head.
The sooner they would have noticed, it would have been less painful for all of us.
I think it's really hard for parents to even notice when there's something wrong, because a lot of people, I think, from my experience, I really bottled it up, hid behind a smile and a happy-go-lucky attitude.
It's a parent's job not only to know the science, but know the person, because then they really have a handle on the situation. Because then they know this is what is usually happening, and today it just doesn't seem like this is part of who my child is.
I think obviously you like to think that parents know their children better than anyone else, but I do feel like a lot of the times you don't want to, you don't really think that, wow, my kid has depression, or wow, my best friend has depression. You think that, wow, they're having a hard time.
I thought I was depressed at the start, and I was. I'm I think I'm depressed, and they're like, no, you're probably just going through a hard time. It happens to everyone.
I know what was upsetting for me, was that my mom would always say, oh, it's only hormones. And while that is probably true that they were a big factor, I always felt like she was trying to minimize my feelings.
When I told her how I felt and everything, she kind of thought that it was a choice that I felt that way. She kind of just brushed it off and was like, oh, you'll feel better and everything.
And they could tell I was sad. They tried to help, but they had no idea what depression was.
One time I went into my mom's room and I was like, Mom, I was just wondering, it was a really awkward experience. It was could I maybe go get some medicine? And she was like, what kind of medicine? And I was like, the anti-depression kind. think she saw it as, you know, like a serious deal, but it was. It was. Because I think they kind of trusted me more, but I didn't really want to be trusted. I wanted them to really, like, take it seriously and, like, lock up the medicine cabinets and, like, child safety under the sink type of deal. I don't know. I really just wanted them to care.
I was at a point where I was like thinking about suicide and stuff, so once they heard about that, then they started caring. If it wasn't for my parents being there, I probably would have done bad things, but it was like this love, this mutual love, this respect for each other that got us through it.
I think that overall I've kind of had the ideal situation because both my parents are in the field of, like, in the mental health field. They both knew what depression is and that it is an illness, and they also knew that it was treatable and they knew the resources.
My relationship with my parents did change. I talked to my dad more, and I think he wanted to be more involved in my life afterwards because he realized that he might, you know, lose his daughter.
Depression kind of made us a little closer. We're more open to each other. Like, we're not afraid. I mean, going through something like depression, you're not afraid to talk about anything with your parents. It's a lot more honest relationship now.
Sometimes I don't want to deal with any of them and them pestering me like all these questions for the day. I'm just like, can you not, like, just stop? And then sometimes it's like, can you ask me some questions? Like,
I think they just thought I wanted my space. And I did at the beginning, but in the end, like, all that I wanted was to not be alone.
I wish she would understand that, like, I'm not faking it when I say, like, I don't feel good, I need to stay home. It's not that I didn't do my homework.
I urge parents to just be observant, you know? Step back, and then a month later look at those mistakes and say, alright, I saw the situation building up, I saw what happened because of it.
But I think kind of gloss over it, and you see it, but you don't notice it. And I think my biggest advice would be to really notice it.
You should support your team, tell them that there's hope, and then find the resources for them to get better.
I think a big thing for parents is to realize that it does not reflect on them, their parenting, or how parents will perceive them. I think a big fear is that they think other people will think that they have a child with depression, like they didn't raise them well enough, or they have a messed up child, but that's not true. I think that's just a stigma and it's not even true. And they can realize that through learning more about depression. So the advice is have hope, because that pretty much is the biggest thing that helped us. Even though it's hard to have hope when you're depressed, if your parents have hope, if you see hope in your parents, then you have hope.